going to see an aggressive schedule in the days and weeks ahead. You're going to see Congress working as hard as it's ever worked, and we are going to deliver for the American people.
Qatari negotiators are optimistic about achieving more hostage releases through ongoing talks with Israel and Hamas. The Gulf is actively involved in securing the release of hostages taken by Hamas in Israel after securing the release of two elderly Israeli women. They noted that there is a greater political willingness from both sides, although logistical challenges remain amid escalating violence in Gaza. A top Qatari official also said Hamas has expressed their willingness to release hostages regardless of their nationalities. The healthcare system in Gaza is now completely out of service, according to Al Jazeera, citing the Palestinian Health Ministry. That means the hospitals there can't operate either due to bombing or a lack of medical supplies or personnel. Since war broke out, the intensive care units in Gaza City have been struggling. The lives of 40 premature babies are now dependent on the dwindling supply of electricity and oil. The United Nations health agencies and doctors have been calling for more aid to be allowed into Gaza, warning that a continued lack of medical supplies, food, and fuel in the region will be catastrophic. But there's the big problem. Israeli military spokesperson Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari has said they will not allow the delivery of oil into the Gaza Strip as they believe that it is being used by Hamas to build infrastructure. Tensions are also growing between the United Nations and Israel. This as Israeli ambassador to the UN, Gilad Erdan, called on UN Chief Antonio Guterres to resign for attributing the Hamas attacks on the quote-unquote 56 years of suffocating occupation suffered by the Palestinian people. In the escalating diplomatic fallout, Israel's Foreign Minister Eli Cohen canceled a meeting with Guterres and also called on him to resign.
You are blaming Israel? This is a pure blood libel. This is a pure blood libel, and I think that the Secretary General must resign.
Hamas is worse than ISIS, and like Chancellor Scholz says, they are the new Nazis. There is not two sides at this moment. There is only one side to support in front of the aggression of ISIS.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now World. I'm Diego Castro. U.S. President Joe Biden assures that America's commitment to the Philippines' defense remains, quote, ironclad. Biden's reassurance comes after the collision incident between the Chinese Coast Guard and Philippine vessels in the West Philippine Sea over the weekend. The Chinese Coast Guard executed dangerous blocking maneuvers and collided with Philippine boats on a resupply mission to the BRP Sierra Madre in the Ayungin Shoal. Biden accused China of acting, quote, dangerously and unlawfully in the disputed territory.
Just this past week, the PRC vessels acted dangerously and unlawfully as our Philippine friends conducted a routine resupply mission within their own exclusive economic zone in the South China Sea. The United States Defense Agreement with the Philippines is ironclad. Any attack on the Filipino aircraft vessels or armed forces will invoke our mutual defense treaty with the Philippines.
Former U.S. President Donald Trump is slapped with another fine for violating the gag order issued by the judge in his civil fraud case. This time, he is asked to pay $10,000. More in this report by the Associated Press.
What happened in there?
It was a dramatic and unexpected day in the civil fraud case brought by New York Attorney General Letitia James against Donald Trump. Donald Trump was told to take the stand with very little warning, and then he was fined $10,000 for insulting the judge's law clerk. Previously, Trump had been issued a gag order because he disparaged the clerk on social media. He was accused of violating that gag order today when he went outside the courtroom and told the press that he had problems with both the very partisan judge and the partisan who was sitting next to the judge.
This judge is a very partisan judge, with a person who's very partisan sitting alongside of him.
And he didn't say exactly who that person was, and his attorneys claim that actually he was talking about Michael Cohen, his former fixer who was on the stand today for the second straight day. Trump took the stand. He maintained he was talking about Cohen, but the judge said that his testimony was not credible, and he issued that $10,000 fine. A few minutes later, Trump, apparently frustrated, threw his hands in the air, and he walked out of the courtroom, seeming to surprise his Secret Service.
The judge should end this trial immediately. Thank you.
His lawyers at that point asked for the judge to basically end the trial, saying Cohen had proven himself not credible, and the judge replied, absolutely not. Today, the lawyers really pushed him on whether or not he had committed perjury in past testimony, whether or not he stands by his claims about Trump not necessarily telling him to inflate his assets. At one point, Cohen kind of just went silent. He stopped responding to the attorneys, and eventually he kind of conceded that Trump had not explicitly told him to inflate his assets. This is a key point in the trial. Later on, he said, well, Trump talks like a mob boss. You kind of know what he means. Even if I said before, he didn't explicitly tell me that, I understood what was expected of me.
And those are the top world headlines of the hour. Join us again at 9:45 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. I'm Diego Castro. We are One News. All sides, all the time.